Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. I am your host, Ariana Aaron Bureau, and today's guest is Amy Simpson, a speech-language pathologist and executive director at Programs for Infant and Children. She's currently working on a subcommittee of the council to explore ways to expand early intervention eligibility in Alaska so that more children can receive service during the very critical period of time in their young lives. Please welcome to the podcast, Amy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So before we dive into all of our topics, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Amy. I'm a speech language pathologist by training, and also the executive director of Programs for Infants and Children, which is the early intervention infant learning program that serves the Anchorage area and some areas around Anchorage. I came to Alaska in 1995, like this.
Seems so long ago.
I know, this week, 29,
Oh,
29 years ago.
It was meant to be. So
was
you're
meant
an
to be.
Alaskan.
Yes.
And you're an Alaskan.
Yes, I think, and I came here on the 5-year plan, and so 29 years later, I'm still here, and I love Alaska and love living here and all the adventures and the cool people we get to meet, and so yeah, and in 2004, I became the executive director of Programs for Infants and Children, and really my passion is to help parents of young kids achieve all their goals so that they can be awesome and wonderful as they grow up and get out in the world and make a difference, right?
Yeah, I love that. And you had reached out to me. I understand you were listening to the podcast, which we appreciate. Thank you. What made you want to reach out? And you had some great topic ideas. I was like, let's narrow this down because this could probably be like a 3-4 part series. But what made you, want to go that route?
Well, working in the field of early childhood in Alaska, I just have learned about so many different programs available to families that they really don't ever know about. And early intervention is one of them. So we provide in-home services for infants and toddlers who experience developmental delays or disabilities. And we go into homes and help parents help their kids learn and grow and be awesome. But there are lots of home visiting programs for parents to help them help their kids. And I don't think very many people know about all these wonderful programs. And they range from nurse-family partnerships that start for when moms are pregnant. They can get enrolled in services before 30 months gestation. So, those anxious times when you're pregnant and you don't know what's happening and you're you want to do everything right. So the nurse family partnerships are there to help families before birth, and those programs go to age 2. There are also programs like Parents as Teachers, which really help parents engage in activities that help their children learn and grow. And those are also home visiting programs. All these are free of charge.
Really? Okay.
And then there are the Head Start programs and the early Head Start programs that really give kids that foundation for learning and growth and there's just this wealth of knowledge and all these programs and people who are really passionate about kids like me and really want to see them succeed. And so yeah, I reached out to you because I want everyone to know about these programs.
As do we, and I appreciate you coming on. You mentioned this was your area of expertise, the Early Intervention Infant Learning Program. Talk a little bit more about that. I know you expounded on it just a bit, but for families, a lot of them may think this isn't just for single parents. This is for just families or, maybe just folks feeling maybe I don't want to go through this alone. Talk a little bit about that area.
Yeah. So early intervention, or the infant learning program, as it's called in Alaska, is a program designed, it's like special education services in the school districts, but for kids under the age of 3.
Okay.
And so as parents are watching their kids grow and learn, if they have questions about or concerns that their kids aren't developing the skills that other kids the same age are developing, we're there to evaluate children and then provide those supports for families to help their kids gain the skills that they need. And our staff are incredible, and so we have developmental therapists that are early childhood educators and special educators. We have speech language pathologists like myself. We have occupational therapists, physical therapists, behavioral health specialists. The whole field of infant toddler mental health is huge and real, and we provide these experts in these fields to parents to help guide them and teach them how to teach their kids. And it's an incredible program, and we see kids grow and learn and achieve the goals that their parents have set for them.
I was going to say, kind of walk us through that process. So a family calls, do they kind of get matched up with who needs to come out there? How long are you guys partnered with the family? Do they have to recommend maybe sometimes beyond what you guys do, or does it come to that sometimes?
Yeah, so we get referrals from all over. So sometimes physicians send families to us, but families can call on their own. If they're worried about their children, we want them to call, right? Then we go through kind of an intake process where we gather information and we learn about any medical, their history, their birth history, any medical history that we need to know about. And then we connect them with a specialist, actually 2 specialists, that go out and evaluate in all areas of development. So we do a full evaluation in gross motor, fine motor, cognitive skills, communication skills, and self-help and social emotional skills. So we look at the whole child in all of those different areas to make sure that they're meeting their milestones. And then if a child qualifies for services, then we develop a plan based on the parents' goals, right? So we don't come in and tell parents what we think they should do, that we all work together in partnership to identify the areas that parents are finding most difficult with their kids and what concerns them the most, and we build goals, and then we work towards achieving those goals with the parents. So the parents are all part of the team, and we work with parents and we coach parents to help them teach their children, because we can only be there a short period of time during their
sense. They need to have the tools to be able to do that.
Yeah, and kids make fantastic gains, and parents are so proud, and it is really we get to celebrate all these milestones that kids get to achieve. But eligibility at this time is pretty strict. So right now a child has to have a 50% delay, which means we have a 1-year-old who has skills that look more like a 6-month-old.
Okay.
And then we have a list of diagnoses that we know are going to likely result in a developmental delay later on, and those kids are automatically eligible. But yeah, so we are working to expand that eligibility so that we can serve more kids, to give more kids that really solid foundation before they go to school, so that they're not always trying to catch up in school.
What's the value of these home visits?
Oh, so research and data tells us that $1 spent in early intervention saves $7 to $14 later on, like through the birth or through the 3 to 18 year range. So if we spend $1 on kids now, we invest in little ones when they're little, giving them high quality programs, whether it's high quality childcare, early intervention, parents as teachers, nurse family partnerships, that we spend 7 times less on education and supports for those kids as they grow older. And it's really important. Kids' brain development between birth and age 3 is exponential. Like, their brains are much more, their neurons are developing faster. You know, your and my brains have stopped.
We're chilling. We're hanging out at the beach.
but these little ones,
Yeah.
their brains are just growing and making these connections, and it is the perfect time to intervene early. Like, I've always likened it to, if you get a cut and you put a little Neosporin on it and a Band-Aid, and that cut heals and is integrated with the rest of your skin. Whereas if you don't do anything and then it becomes infected, and then you have to do all sorts of interventions to heal that skin, and that's kind of what early intervention or early childhood services do. Is we're investing in our kids and helping their future be really bright. And so when they go to school, their 3rd grade reading scores are up to where they need to be. It's so sad to know that so many of our kids aren't reading at a 3rd grade level, and what we know is that up to 3rd grade, kids learn to read, and after 3rd grade, why it's so important that they're reading at the 3rd grade level is after 3rd grade, they're reading to learn, and so if they're not reading by 3rd grade, they're just always trying to catch up, and learning is really hard.
Putting on your speech pathologist hat now, whether a family has or wonders if their child has a developmental delay, just in general, and you've worked with, I'm sure, tons of families, what can you say to families that are getting ready to have a kid, have kids, young kids, that would be listening to this, to help continue their kids' development in those areas? What are things that families can do?
Well, like, there's just really simple things that we can do. And they're fairly, they're things that our mothers did, and you talk to your kids, and you sing to your kids, and you read to your kids, and you give them a really rich environment to learn language, opportunities to hear words, and different vocabulary, and just provide those really rich environments within the culture of your family, right? We all have songs that our parents sang, and different rituals and routines that we did, and that's the beauty of it. You talk with your kids, you fill their file cabinet with all the words that they're going to need as they grow up and learn and go into the world. Like, if you've ever kind of encountered a little kid and they're talking away, and it's like, how did they ever learn that word, right?
Yeah.
The good words, right?
They'll surprise you sometimes. And you're like, what? I learned something new.
Exactly.
What are some of the success stories? I know you've been around a lot of families. Does one stick out, or, I'm sure it's cool to see going in and working with the family and just seeing that, that growth.
Yeah, it's since we work with families only until they turn 3, we have to, release them
Part
out
ways.
into the world, and we often don't get to see all that they become. And at least once a week, I'll get a call or an email from a family who came across something that they, a picture or report or something, and they'll give us a call and say, I just wanted to tell you how grateful I am for the services that I didn't know that maybe I needed at the time, but you really helped me and helped me help my child to become all that they can be. And I I recently got a letter from a parent of a child who was diagnosed as deaf, hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started with PIC, she was 2.5. And so 2.5 years of not hearing. And this was a while back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now we have a newborn hearing screening. So we know by the time a child leaves the hospital, whether they have hearing or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big plus. But back then that wasn't the case. And this parent went on to share with me that their child graduated high school, went on to college, graduated college, and is now working with young children who are deaf and hard of hearing.
Wow.
And that kind of gives me
I
goosebumps.
just got goosebumps.
And just to know that when this parent came to us, they had just found out their child is deaf. They were not deaf, and so it's a whole new world for them. And we were able to give them information so that they could make good decisions about how to educate their child and what they need to do to support their child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stories like that make me really aggressively advocate for families all over the place.
Oh, that's a great story. I love. Thank you for sharing that. I want to talk a little bit about the parent side. Like you said, you work with the families. This is a collective goal. You don't just come in and say this is what you have to do. And you're working with them up until 3, so it's almost like you have a limited time. But I imagine these families, the parents, maybe have some guilt, shame that come with my kid's not where they need to be. How do you guys go in and address that, and you're gentle on that topic and let them know they're not alone and it's not their fault and working together?
Yeah, it's a little bit of we treat every family individually,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't have a cookie cutter approach. We don't do the same thing with every family, every child, and we have at PIC we get about 1,100 referrals a year.
Wow.
And so we talk with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
families. We listen to a lot of families, and we try to provide information that is unbiased and use science whenever we can, and what we know are that all kids learn differently. There are some kids that really thrive when they have a lot of auditory information. Some require a lot of visual cues and visual information. Other kids need some hands-on and some tactile information to help them make sense of the world and to learn and grow. There are some kids that experience some early trauma and require a lot of kind of, believe it or not, infant mental health to help parents and children engage together in a loving and supportive way, and we are able to do all that, and through our assessments and observations, really find the secret sauce for that family and meet them where they are. We don't try to make them do anything they don't want to do, and our services are voluntary, and so we really, our goal is to really support the parents in helping their kids grow and learn.
It's interesting because this podcast deals with all things parenting, and under that umbrella can be so many things. You hear a lot about perinatal mental health, mental health just for adults. you've touched on something I don't think it's even come to my mind of, infant and toddler mental health, but you see it every day. It's a real thing.
You do, and it's kind of an exciting time to be in early childhood because all of this information that has come out recently about infant toddler mental health, and infant toddlers don't roam around this world without an adult with them, right? And so when we think about that mental health, it really is in the context of their parent or caregiver, whether that's one parent or two parents, and parents of all different kinds, right? And sometimes kids experience things that we don't, breaks our heart that kids have experienced things, and so we really work hard to find that intersection to help heal those things so that they don't keep reoccurring and prevent children from learning. We see the responses to this trauma in their behavior, and whether they shut down or act out, and that's what we work really hard to help parents understand and to support their kids in that healthy attachment and engagement with their families.
I know you guys offer a lot of resources. So once again, the best way for families to contact you guys or to find out more information, are you on social media? Is it more website? Give you a call?
Yeah, all of the
All of
above.
that, okay.
So our website is picak.org. There's lots of information there, ways to contact us. You can call us, talk to your physician about your concerns, and or just call us and ask us to come out and give you to do an assessment and give you some resources. We're happy to do it.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to give you the last final thought. Anything you want to share, mention, or add, or expound upon that we've touched on here today?
Well, I guess I would really love it if people really thought about kids as an investment in our future, right? So as we hear on the news about all these battles and funding education and all of that, I really hope that we can look at all of these variety of early childhood programs and know that we're investing in kids, we're investing in our future, and it is a great return on investment, and our kids deserve it.
They do. They absolutely do. Well, Amy, some great information, great resources. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Amy, thanks.
Thank you.